TEA TV presents Tea Time, and here with this week's episode is your host, Cooper Adams.
Hello and welcome to Tea Time, the show for all of your tea-related needs, and that's the tea. My name's Cooper Adams, and I'm going to be your host today. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit special. Today we're going to be making the perfect cup of tea. Now I know some of you at home may be thinking to yourself, but Cooper, I already know how to make the perfect cup of tea. Well, you're wrong. And today I'm going to show you how to do it right. So let's go ahead and let's get started. The first step when making the perfect cup of tea is you want to choose the perfect cup or the perfect mug. You may not think that this is a crucial step, but it actually dictates whether your tea will taste good or not. So let's take a mug such as this, for example. Quite the hoot, isn't it? Well, it turns out this is terrible for all of your tea making purposes. You see, the mug is very rounded in shape. It's very bulbous and it has a very curved in small lip. This is not good for tea because we will be making our tea within the cup itself rather than a teapot. The issue with this is that there's more volume and more space within the cup itself for the tea to diffuse to, meaning that your tea is going to be weak. Not only that, but the curved in lip up top will capture the heat rising from the boiling water. It will make the porcelain very, very hot and very, very hard for you to drink from. So this cup is going to be a no-go from us today. Instead, you would rather use a cup such as this. A standard teacup, thin base, wide-lipped. These are shaped very much like Starbucks cups are shaped, and that's on purpose. You see, it's shaped like a funnel so that it's smaller on the bottom, so that way it catches sediments and makes a conglomerate of all of the things at the bottom, thus making your tea stronger and making it a heartier brew. So we're going to be using this for all of our tea making purposes today. Your next step is you want to figure out exactly what kind of tea you're going to be making. There are many different types of tea, including green tea, white tea, and herbal tea. But today we're going to be using one of my favorite teas, which is an all-classic black tea known as Earl Grey. You see, Earl Grey tea is really good because it has something in it called bergamot. It's an all-natural, lemon-like substance that's very sweet and is very, very good for things such as this. Now, we're not going to open this just yet. We want to keep it closed. We'll get to that in a little bit. But until then, we're going to move on to our next step. Our next step is we're going to be talking about our water boiling device. I say device because today we're going to be using an electric kettle. Now, the reason I like to use electric kettles is primarily because they're fast, they're easy, they're cheap, and very, very safe. You're able to use these in office spaces and dorm rooms alike over hot plates because they're not going to catch fire as easily. Not to mention, this kettle has an automatic shut-off feature when the water reaches boiling temperature. By doing so, it turns off automatically. So that way you can leave the room, you can watch your television shows, and you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Even kids could do this. It's the perfect, easy way to make tea for everyone at home. The next thing we're going to do is we have to decide what water source we're going to be using today. Today, I'm going to be using classic bottled water. Classic bottled water is good because, as you know, it's going to be purified, it's always going to be clean, and you always know it's going to taste great. This is going to be the best option for what you have. Although, for those of you at home, if you would like to use tap water, you most certainly can. But when using tap water, I definitely suggest allowing your tap to run for about 10 to 20 seconds prior to putting it into the kettle. This allows the water to aerate and allows the atoms and particles within to move freely. This will create a very strong, hearty brew. So we're just going to pop open our kettle here, and we're going to gently pour in the water. We're not going to pour in the entire bottle, but we're going to pour in a good portion of it. Make sure we close our bottle for safety. Close it, and then click the button to get it started. Thank you so much for joining us today. After we get back, we're going to decide what ingredients to put in our tea. Stay tuned. Are you tired of walking to class burdened by your heavy backpack? Well, worry no more with the help of the Infinity Bag. The Infinity Bag is a revolutionary new bag that has no limit. You can fit notebooks, laptops, supplies, and more into the bag with ease. Get your Infinity Bag today. Welcome back to Tea Time. My name is Cooper Adams and I'll be your host for this evening. Now, before we left, We had just put our water into our water boiling device, our electric kettle. Not only that, but we have decided which tea we'll be using, which is an all classic Earl Grey. The next step, of course, is preparing the ingredients to put in the cup itself. So, while our water boils, this is what we're going to be doing. It's always smart to put your ingredients into the cup first when making tea within the cup itself. This is so that the boiling water can dissolve everything at an easier rate while also making sure the taste is still there without any evaporation loss. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to use all natural white sugar. This is a common household object. You can find it anywhere, and it's definitely a staple piece when it comes to tea. Now, you can of course add this to your desired taste level. It can be sweet, it doesn't matter. Personally for me, I like to add just about 1/2 of a teaspoon. 1/2 of a teaspoon allows for the tea to still be sweet while also not overtaking the lemony notes of the bergamot found within and also the bitters found in the Earl Grey tea. So this is a perfect alternative. Next step, we're going to use our dairy or dairy substitute. Now, you can use any kind of dairy substitute such as soy milk or almond milk, but today we're going to be using all organic low-fat milk. Fair warning when you're going to be making tea with any kind of milk in it. The milk has to be closer to room temperature, otherwise the cold milk, when in contact with the boiling water, will cause it to blanch, and your tea will not taste good at all. Furthermore, when the cold milk comes into contact with the boiling water with a lemony note, such as what's found in the bergamot and Earl Grey tea, will cause your milk to immediately sour. And I don't believe we want sour milk in our perfect cup of tea. Now that's the tea. So what we're going to do next is we're going to pour a little bit of our all organic low-fat milk into the cup. Just a little bit. Oop. That's all we need. You have to remember, a little bit goes a long ways when it comes to things like this. The fats in the milk will help the tea dissolve very well and it'll capture all the flavor. Also, something you need to know is that you need to make sure that the milk you use, once again, is close to room temperature. I cannot stress this enough. You do not want rotten milk in your tea. The next thing we're going to put in, and the final ingredient before the tea, is going to be our all-natural vanilla syrup. All-natural vanilla syrup is a perfect thing to complement the lemony notes of the bergamot and the Earl Grey tea. But remember, a little bit goes a long ways. So what I suggest doing is taking the cap, don't even fill the cap up halfway, just a little bit, and pouring it directly into your sugar and milk solution. This will ensure that your drink has that nice vanilla undertone to pair well with that lemony tastes. Now on to the fun part, our tea, the part you've all been waiting for. Now the reason we've kept it in the package as long as we have is because this is an airtight package, meaning that the tea within will stay perfectly fresh. The reason we've kept it closed as long as we have is because as soon as this tea touches the air, it's instantly going to start staling. So for a fresh and great cup of tea, you want to open it now. You're going to take out your tea bag, discard your trash, and your tea bag is going to look like this. You want to gently put the tea bag in the solution already and leave the cardboard piece out. This is so that you can fish the tea bag out in a few seconds without any problem or stress. Now, the dangerous part of making tea, we are going to be pouring in our boiling water. I cannot stress this enough. Please, for those of you at home doing this, please, please be careful. We are going to very slowly and very gently pour in our boiling water, just like so. There we are. This is what I now call the 3 S's of making tea. You're going to steep it, stir it, and then you're going to sip it. The first thing that we're going to want to do is, we've already done it. The steeping process has already begun by putting the boiling water and the tea together. Every now and then you can just gently plod it along, such as this, and that way your tea will start to brew. Next, you're going to want to take a small teaspoon and gently, while holding the cardboard tab, stir. So, now I believe we have our perfect cup of tea. Thank you so much for joining me on this tea adventure. We'll catch you next time.